Not so long ago, back in March, I covered the new North Korean main battle tank, basing most of the information on the external parts of the tank, but I had no idea we would get so much revealed so soon. Recently, we got a video from North Korea showing Kim Jong Un visiting DPRK Academy of Defense Sciences, and we got to see a lot of the internal parts of this new tank, as well as its actual designation, since most people have been calling it the M2020 due to some media articles dubbing it like that because it was first revealed in 2020. But as you will soon find out, that is not the actual name. A lot of stuff was blurred in the video, so we unfortunately can't see everything, but a lot that perhaps should have been blurred wasn't, so they might have revealed more than they hoped to reveal. Now, I don't speak Korean, but according to people that do, the tank is actually named Chonma 2, which can be seen on one of the plaques in the background under a picture of the tank on the wall. I'm not sure as to why the tank is named like that. The North Korean Chonma series of main battle tanks have mainly been upgrades and modifications based on the original Chonma tank, which was basically a T-62. This tank is now completely different and is not made on the same or even similar chassis to the Chonma series of tanks, especially since Chonma are apparently not the only type of tank North Korea has been producing, since they have also produced tanks under the designation of Songun or Songun-ho, which have been made on a different chassis. So the argument that they call all their tanks Chonma is not really true, so you have to understand my confusion. Perhaps they want to just continue using Chonma designations, I don't know. But anyway, let's continue. Probably one of the more interesting things we got to see is the ammunition. In a couple of shots, for the brief moment, we can see the types of shells the tank can fire, and how they exactly look like. The shell types are APF-SDS, heat, and high explosive frag. All can be seen next to each other. One confusing thing might be that the shells are standing outside of their casing. This might lead some people to believe that these shells are loaded in the Russian style, two-piece, projectile separate from the charges. But that is not the case. In a big plaque we can see blurred shells next to the tank, and there is no doubt that all shells, including heat and HE frag, are one-piece ammo. Both heat and HE frag also appear to be the Soviet-style shells, based on their external design. But probably the most impressive thing is the actual APF-SDS. In most shots, we can see the upper part of it, which is not blurred. Unfortunately, it is impossible to judge its size in any of those shots. But in one part of the video, we can see the APF-SDS projectile with the sabot blurred in the background. Even though it is blurred, we can clearly see the length of the entire thing, and oh my, is it long. The projectile is definitely a modern design, with a very good length to diameter ratio. Now, it is impossible to know the actual size of the HE shell, where we could then get the rough estimate on the length of the APF-SDS projectile, but even though the HE frag appears to be of similar design to the Soviet HE frag, the actual size is unknown, since it definitely had to be redesigned in order to be fired from a one-piece shell like it is the case for the Chonma 2. But as I said, one thing is for certain. This is a modern APF-SDS with a pretty decent length to diameter ratio, so the penetrating capabilities have to be decent. The only thing we don't know is what material it is made out of. Before we go any further, a quick word from this video's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and is available for free on PC, PlayStation and Xbox. Take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters and ships of 10 major nations, ranging from biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to the modern fighter jets and main battle tanks. Immerse yourself in the intense combat of War Thunder, where incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics and authentic sound effects place you right at the helm of the most powerful war machines of our time. To me, the best part about the game are the sophisticated vehicle damage models. Every vehicle is intricately modeled down to its individual components, like engines, fuel tanks, weapons and crew, all susceptible to damage or disabling from enemy fire. And different types of armor, shells and missiles behave like their real-world counterparts. Join a worldwide community of over 70 million players in epic PvP battles today, and delve into the breathtaking experience that is War Thunder. With an unmatched wealth of high-quality content to discover, there's simply no game better suited for fans of military history. And you can play War Thunder now for free on PC, PlayStation or Xbox. Use my link in the pinned comment or video description to sign up. New players and those who haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack on PC or consoles that includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account. Available for a limited time only, so don't miss it. Now, in the last video I was speculating if the tank has blowout panels or not, since we couldn't clearly see the top of the turret. But I did miss some pictures back then, and several people have pointed it out to me. We actually did have a clear view on the turret bustle. These might first appear to be blowout panels because of their shape, but upon closer inspection it is pretty evident that they are not. They are in fact lids for storage boxes. That is evident by the fact that there are plenty of hinges and locks present on the lids, and their shape and thickness also points to them being just regular lids for storage, something similar to a T-72 style storage box lids. What are they for exactly? I have no idea. Could they be used to place ammo inside the bustle with some extra ammo capacity like T90M, but make it regular storage, or are they intended like actual storage boxes for tools or spare parts of the tank? That much is not clear. But this begs the question as to how the ammo is actually stored inside the tank. We now know for certain that the tank has a manual loader, that is, a crew member loading the ammo, and that it fires one-piece shells. So the ammo storage could be similar to something like T-55 or T-62, or maybe even something like Western designs like the C-1 Ariete or Challenger 2. I use them as an example since they don't have turret bustle storage with blowout panels. Either way, it is not entirely clear. But at least we know that the blowout panels aren't a thing on this tank. Next thing we got to see are the sights. We know based on the pictures from March that the tank features a day and a thermal channel for both gunner and commander sights. Some people speculated that sights might be a copy of the Russian Sosna-U or the PNMT, currently featured on their most modern MBTs, but looking at the Chonma-2 sights, we can see that it is definitely not the case. Sosna-U is a much bulkier sight, and the construction is completely different. The only similar thing is how the external glass on the sight itself is shaped. That is it. There is nothing in the sight's construction that indicates any actual similarities to the Sosna-U. Even when we look at the Chinese sights, we can see that the ones of Chonma-2 are different. Now, is this a completely indigenous design? I doubt it. There is a high probability that China, or maybe even Russia, lended some of their help in the design or construction of these sights. Now, as for the actual thermals used, we don't know what they are, nor do I think we will ever find out. They could be second generation, third generation, could be domestically made, could be imported from China, could be partially made, partially imported, who knows. We also got to see what appear to be monitors for the display of the thermal sights. They could be used for something else, but that is what I believe is most likely the case. Now, there was also a monitor displaying something which was blurred. I saw some people speculating that this is the actual monitor for the sights, but I'm pretty sure this is a monitor for the battle management system of the tank. I say this because the monitor appears to have a lot of buttons on the right side and below of the display, which is typical for a system like this on other tanks, and the blurred display appears to be showing things in various different colors, which could indicate a positioning system being displayed, or something similar. If that is true, then this tank has some pretty advanced features which are not even present on many tanks today. Something also caught my eye in this shot. Next to one of the monitors, it appears to be, at least to me, as the charge for the hard kill active protection system. But I could be wrong. If someone knows what it actually is, please let me know. Probably the most interesting thing we got to see is the engine. At the first glance, this might seem like some new tank engine, but the engine actually has a lot, and I do mean a lot, of similarities with the German MT-883 engine. As to how North Koreans got their hands on one of the German engines in order to copy them is not clear. The engine is also very similar to the South Korean engine, but it is not identical. Some of the design features are straight up taken from the MT-883. Of course, it is not the same. Turbocharger and intercooler arrangement is different, but the engines are just way too similar. That being said, there are a lot of people who are speculating that this is just a mock-up and not actually currently used in the tank, and there are some valid reasons for that. You see, the engine deck of the Chonma-2 looks almost identical to other more modern North Korean tanks, which have been speculated to use some modern engine from the Soviet V2 series, perhaps a V46 or something else. But the engine deck on the Chonma-2 has been enlarged, although that does not have to mean that this new engine is actually being used there. It is possible that even further modified V2 style engine is being used. That being said, it is also possible that this new engine is being used with some weird modifications. I just wanted to point out to you that this engine not being used is very much a possibility. If it is indeed being used, then it would make the tank really mobile and would put it ahead of the other North Korean tanks. When it comes to the new details that have been revealed, I suppose that is it when it comes to the Chunma 2. We didn't get to see anything about the protection. There appears to be some info about that on the big plaque, but unfortunately it is all blurred. But as I pointed out in the last video, the tank now has explosive reactive armor, with a very subpar placement, to say the least. It is obvious that the ERA was not originally intended to be placed, so it is possible that some testing concluded that it was necessary. That being said, the tank does have a hard kill active protection system, which will at least intercept 80 rockets and missiles, since we did get the trial footage from North Korea where they demonstrated against a domestically made RPG. So as far as the protection goes against common threats, the tank's protection should suffice, solely based on the fact that it has the hard kill active protection system. But when it comes to the protection against enemy tanks, well, in that case it is impossible to know. The roof armor of both the hull and the turret are reinforced with extra protection, and the tank also has laser warning receivers, which is good because those usually warn the crew when the tank is being lased by a laser rangefinder from another tank. I also did not mention in my last video that the AT-GEM launchers mounted on the tank are properly firing the North Korean Kornet AT-GEM clone, which has become pretty common and has even been exported in the past. This would give the tank the ability to accurately engage distant targets, and since it's Kornet, it can probably deal with a lot of threats because of its penetrating power. As for the rest, well, we can only speculate. One thing is for certain though, North Korea can produce these tanks. I'm pretty confident by now that these are not just mock-ups, but real tanks intended for production. Korea has producing tanks for decades. I don't see why these tanks now would be impossible for them to produce. On the other hand, it is its actual capabilities and components that can be questioned, especially when it comes to the automotive parts like the engine. But I will let you draw your own conclusions about that. I don't want to be making some wild claims. Again, thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to play it for free on PC, PlayStation or Xbox now by using my link in the pinned comment or video description. New and returning players that haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms, including multiple premium vehicles and other goodies. Available for a limited time only, so make sure not to miss it. That would be all. If you like my content, you can support me on Patreon. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.